Factor by grouping is used when you have 4 terms in your polynomial. First, we're going to demonstrate this method using 4xy minus 20y plus 5ax minus 25a. Factor by grouping means that we're going to need to group this pair, or excuse me, these 4 terms into pairs of 2 terms each. So first I'm going to factor and group the first. Cut that out. To do factor by grouping, we need to group our 4 terms into pairs. So I'm going to start by grouping the first 2 terms together and the second 2 terms together. So now what I'm going to do is focus on the first 2 terms and factor out my greatest common factor, which in this case will be 4y, because that is found in both terms. We factor that out, we're left with an x in the first term, 4 goes into 25 times, and there's no y left, so we have 4y times x minus 5. So now we move to the second term. Put down our plus sign here. We're going to say, okay, 5 is in both terms, and there's an a in both terms. So I'm going to factor out 5a. What's left in the first term when I've divided by 5a? That leaves me x. Divide 25 by 5, I get 5, and the a's cancel, so they become 1. And notice now I have x minus 5 in parentheses here, and x minus 5 parentheses here. So the idea here is that these are common factors, because remember, this number in parentheses, we don't know what x is, but whatever it is, it would represent a single number. You might be able to visualize it better if I were to change the x minus 5, and let's say the x minus 5 was represented by b. So let's pretend b represents this, x minus 5. So if I put a b in each of those places where there was an x minus 5, you would see, oh, there's a common factor b that I'm going to pull out and be left with 4y plus 5a. So that same method is done here. I'm going to bring out x minus 5 from both terms. I'll bring it out to the front. So there's the common factor. And what I'm left with is 4y plus 5a. And I don't see anything else I can factor in either of those 2 binomials, so this is my complete answer. You'll have noticed in the previous problem that we had a plus sign in between the second and third term. So if between the second and third term you have a subtraction sign, this is what you're going to first have to complete. We're going to need to change this minus sign into addition by using our integer math, which says that when a subtraction problem, say 2 minus 3, was the equivalent of saying 2 plus negative 3. So that means I'm going to just rewrite this as 4ab plus 16b plus negative 5ax minus 20x. So now I have that plus sign in between. So now let's group. We'll group the first 2. We'll group the second 2. Looking at the first 2 terms, I have 4 is common and b, so we'll factor out 4b, and we're left with a plus 4. Bring down the plus sign. Now, because this is negative 5, it's automatic that I'm going to have to bring out that negative sign in order to get a positive a to match this parenthesis. And good thing that 5 goes into 20, so I can just bring out negative 5. And we have x's that are common, so I'm going to bring that out. And I'm left with positive a. Now, since I divided negative 20 by negative 5, that gives me positive 4. And now these 2 parentheses match. So I factor out a plus 4 from each term. And I have parentheses a plus 4 times the leftover 2 terms, 4b, plus negative 5, which you can convert back to subtraction. And there's your complete answer. Now I'm going to have you try. Here's your problem. 2xy plus 10y minus 5ax minus 25a. I'm going to have you pause the video, try this problem out yourself. When you've completed your work, come back and unpause the video and compare your work with mine. Okay, let's see how you did. So factor by grouping, again, I noticed there's a minus between my second and third term. So let's first rewrite this. 2x plus 10y, we need to make that middle term plus, so that becomes plus negative 5ax minus 25a. So factor by grouping, group the first two and the last two. Find the greatest common factor between these two terms, and in this case it's going to be 2y, which will leave me with x plus 5. The second one, I notice again I've got that negative 5, so I know at least a negative is going to have to come out, and luckily 5 goes into both terms, so I'll be bringing out a negative 5, and we do have a common a. So the negative 5 divided by negative 5 left me a positive 1 here, so 1x. Negative 25 divided by negative 5 gives me plus 5. So here's my common factor, x plus 5. Bring that out front. And the leftovers are 2y in the front minus 5a, or plus negative 5a. You could leave it like that.